Welcome to day 4 of our CST boot camp. Let's start by reading our objective. Students will be able to independently work towards mastery of various topics by completing topic lesson cycles and record their progress by checking off each completed lesson on a progress tracker. Please rate your current level of understanding with regards to the objective. Hopefully you're at least a 2 or a 3 by now, since we did the same objective yesterday and the day before. All right, let's look at number 2. It says, choose the answer that is the most effective substitute for the underlined part of the sentence. If no substitute is necessary, choose leave as is. Okay, question number 1. While Maria read the directions, Saul tried to assemble the model airplane. Is the answer the most effective substitution, A, the directions period, then start a new sentence, Saul? Let's look at that one. Well, I know that if I have a period, that means that the first part can be an independent clause. Let's look at the first part. While Maria read the directions. Okay, this word while lets me know that it cannot be an independent clause. It means that I need more information to complete the sentence. So this part is actually a dependent clause. And that means that it cannot be A. All right, let's look at option number 2. The directions, Saul. All right, if I have a comma, that might be okay because it's a dependent clause and we need an independent clause. Let's make sure the second part is an independent clause. Saul tried to assemble the model airplane. Yes, this is an independent clause. It can be a sentence by itself because it has both a subject and a verb that is completed. So the answer could be B. I'm going to put a little asterisk next to it and just rule out the other ones to make sure I'm right. C, the directions, Saul. Okay, so I know when I put a semicolon, that's making a compound sentence connecting two independent clauses. This is not a compound sentence because it doesn't have two independent clauses. It has a dependent clause and an independent clause, meaning it's a complex sentence, and therefore a semicolon would be incorrect. I'm going to cross that off. Let's look at leave as is. Okay, so as is right now, it has directions, Saul. I know that a colon is for either a business salutation or it's before you list things. Well, we're not listing anything in this sentence, so I know for sure it's not D. That means I was right and it is B. Now I know for sure that my answer B is the correct answer. Let's look at sentence number 2. The small pond in the mountains near our cabin is crystal clear. In summer, however, it is frozen in winter. Okay, so as you can see, that didn't sound quite right. I kept reading where I think I may have needed to pause. Let's look at our options. A says in summer, however, it is frozen in winter. Okay. So that sounds a little bit better because I know I need to slow down after summer because that is its own independent clause. The small pond in the mountains near our cabins is crystal clear in summer. Okay, so to right here is an independent clause. So I know I need something there. So let's see if the second clause is an independent or a dependent. It says, however, it is frozen in winter. Well, this has a subject, it, which is talking about the pond, right? And the verb is it's frozen in winter. So this is also an independent clause after summer. So I have two independent clauses. That tells me that it's not going to be connected by just a comma. So I'm going to cross off A. B says in summer, however, it is frozen in winter. Well, again, it's not listing anything after the colon, and it's not a salutation in a business letter, so I know that it's not a colon. I'm going to cross that off. C, in summer, however, it is frozen in winter. Let me think about that. Well, I know earlier in the week I learned that You can connect two independent clauses by using a semicolon. That sounds correct to me. I'm going to circle C. I just want to make sure that I got it right, so I'm going to check D. D says leave as is. Well, we already said that we know that we need to pause or do something at the end of summer, so I know it's not D. I'm going to cross that off. Now I know that my answer C is correct. Let's look at sentence 3. When Teresa arrived at school, she was still tired, so her sister carried all of her textbooks. Oh, that was very nice of her sister. Let's see what we need to look for a substitute for. The underlined part says arrived at school, she was still tired, comma, so her. I know this word so is part of fanboys. It's a conjunction. So I know that it's always needs a comma before it, which it has. So let's see if there's any better choices. Right now, that looks pretty good to me. Let's look at A. Arrived at school, comma, she was still tired, comma, so her. Well, I know when you put a comma around something, it's an independent clause. When you put two commas around something like this, comma and comma. She was still tired. Okay, that is an independent clause, but would the other sentences make sense if we took that out? When Teresa arrived at school, so her sister carried all of her books. No, that doesn't make sense. It can't be A. I'm going to cross that off. B. Arrived at school, she was still tired, so, comma, her. All right. The comma doesn't go after the conjunction, so I know that's wrong. C. Arrived at school, comma, she was still tired, comma, so, comma, her. All right. We know that this one is very wrong. We don't need commas, a comma after school, and we don't need a comma after so. I'm going to cross that off. So the answer is D. We were right. We leave it as is. Now, before you go to pull out your tracker and look at where you are, please make sure you review the champs on the back. Remember that while we're on the computers, our volume level is always a 0. If we need help, we need to raise our hand and wait until the instructor is able to come and answer your question. Our activity is to stay on only the websites assigned. Respect the materials as they are very expensive. Our movement is to not get out of our seat without permission. Our participation is to work independently, which means by ourselves only. You are now ready to get out your checklist, your progress tracker, and check and find out. I can't find mine right now, but that's okay. You should have yours in front of you and look and see where you're ready to work.